Good morning. So I'm still getting used to the taping on Mondays, but I wanted to talk about Latino division, identity, language, politics, and friendship. I find it funny the way the Americans categorize or describe racism and how we Latins use racism. So, what if I told you the division in Latin America doesn't always look like racism the way people think in the United States? It's a little different. And there's a couple of words in here that are very difficult for me to pronounce. So, bear with me. Again, English is my second language. What if I told you the deeper divide is often language, nationality, class, and history? Because today we're going there. And this might make some people uncomfortable. I'm sorry. But that's the point. Before Christopher Columbus ever arrived in the America, the land was already full of life. Indigenous civilizations, meaning I think the Indians, advanced societies, culture, languages, system. Then everything changed. European colonization came in. Indigenous population were displaced, meaning the Indians. That's what I think of indigenous people. Again, forgive me. Africans were brought through slavery. Europeans settled, arrived, and mixed into the region. Over time, Latin America became a blend of indigenous roots, Indian roots, African roots, European roots, and that is the foundation of modern Latin identity. But there's the question. If we share so much history, why do we still divide each other today? Because I'm telling you, Latin people can be very racist. In Latin America, division doesn't always look like the racial structure people talk about in the United States. We don't use racism the way the Americans do. It's not always black or white. It often shows up as nationality, accent, social class, education, skin tone, or colorism. For example, some countries stereotype others based on where they came from. Some accents are judged as more educated. I would probably be at the bottom of that graph. Some cultures are looked down on as poor or less advanced. So while it may not always look like American racial politics, divisions still exist. It's just we wear it a little different. Languages play a huge role in this. Spanish spread through colonization, but every region evolved differently. So now we have Caribbean Spanish, Mexican Spanish, Central American Spanish, South American variations, Castilian Spanish from Spain. I think we call that the proper Spanish. And sometimes people judge each other based on accent alone. One accent is called educated. Another is called too rough. Another is mocked or stereotyped. So even though we share a language, we still divide ourselves through it. Like Mexico, for instance, is races of Guatemaltecos. We call them Guatemaltecos, which is Guatemala. And again, because they share the border, so they don't want them there. Cubans, I believe they're more, they mix well with Puerto Ricans or Dominican. And I believe within the last 20 years or so, ever since what happened to Venezuela, we now kind of have Venezuela in that little bit of a mix. So again, it's just a lot of racism in Latin America as well. We just don't use it like Americans do. Like, for instance, Latin call Americans gringo, a cultural tension. Let's talk about something real. The word gringo is commonly used across Latin America to refer to Americans or foreigners. Sometimes it's casual. Sometimes it carries frustration. Oh, look at this gringo. Sometimes it reflects deeper history around U.S. foreign policies. Trust me, Latin people talk bad about gringos behind their back. It's just common sense to know that everybody has a problem with someone or a race other than the ones that they possess. U.S. foreign policies, immigration issues, economic influence, culture dominance. That's why they call them gringos, and they are very racist towards gringos. But here's where it gets complex. Many people criticize American system or culture while also admiring the opportunity, the freedom, and stability the United States represents. Hear me out. So the question becomes, is this always about principle or sometimes about perspective and lived experiences? Now let's step into a broader conversation. In American politics, discussions around race, identity, immigration, and inequality are very present. Public figures across the political spectrum include well-known progressive voices such as Alexandra Cortez, Omar, among others, often speak about the systemic inequality of immigration reform and racial justice. But these conversations are shaping national debate. Why is that? Because, oh my God, look around. They're married to a white person. And again, I find that so phony because they talk about these people. Can you imagine being married to somebody who is a racist and like, look, I'm married a gringo, and I say that in a nice way. My husband is a gringo. And again, gringo can mean many things. For me, a gringo is just an American. I don't mean it as a hate thing. And hopefully the gringos don't see it as a hate thing anymore. Maybe at one time it did, but not the same way. It always depends on the context of the conversation. But these Cortez and Omar, they go on TV talking about white people, and then they go home and sleep with one. And I often wonder, oh my God, as the white person next to them, what would they say? Like, babe, I'm sorry I had to talk bad about you today, but we're good. I love you. That's so phony. But they also raise questions for many people watching, because I want to know what happens in that night conversation when you go home and you just got done tearing white people down, and then you go home and you go to bed with a white person. So how do we balance strong political messages about identity and inequality with the everyday reality that many people live across different cultures, backgrounds, and personal relationships? This is not about attacking individuals. I'm not attacking anybody. I really would love to be a fly on the wall in some of these homes where the radical left is talking about white people in that way and so racist. It's about recognizing how complex and emotional these conversations have become. Because in today's world, public messaging and personal reality are often viewed side by side, and people will always question consistency, no matter what side they are on. Even with Latin America, we experience racism so much different than the way Americans experience it. And I wanted to kind of highlight that because I do call my American friends gringo or gringa, but in a loving way. And Cubans and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, we don't see color the way the far left has created in America. Like, it's not racism like that. We just don't see it, you know? We see character, if that makes sense. You could be whatever color, but if you have good character, you're good with us and you're good with anybody. I believe that's the way it should be. And again, that's my perspective on this. These are my opinions. This is not about blaming one group more than the other. It's about understanding human behavior. Division shows up everywhere, between countries, between accents, between classes, between politics, even within families. Because again, there's more interracial marriages more than ever. And we see it, and then they talk about a race that they either are related to in some way. Either your daughter is seeing somebody or your son is seeing somebody that's another race, and again, brown or red or yellow, whatever. It doesn't matter. So we're so entwined, but the Democrats keep using the race card over and over again. And if we were honest, sometimes the deepest divisions are not obvious. They're quiet, they are culture, and they are inherited. So that was my little way of saying that everybody possesses a little bit of racism with another class of nationality. But Latin America doesn't use it quite the same way as the American politics do. And in today's world, when our children, those who never taught racism, and I believe it's been like that for a while now, they have decided to marry somebody of another race. And again, as long as there's love and there's mutual respect, by all means. But these people that are constantly in front of our news cycle, even some news people that are married to the opposite race. And what blows my mind is how they go home and sit and have dinner with some of those race that they have put down over and over again. And some of them are sleeping with them. It's weird, huh? But again, these are my opinions. And again, you could think whatever you want, but don't ever think that Latin people are not racist towards each other, because Puerto Ricans, Dominican, and Cubans do not like Mexico. Mexico doesn't like Guatemala, and so on, so forth. They all have a little something to them with another Latin America country. It exists everywhere. We just don't use it politically. Sorry. Now I want to talk about some girl talk, personal reflections. Last episode, I shared a little bit about aging and how my body is changing. Trust me, it's bad. I think not only am I getting shorter, but everything is just hanging. And today, I just want to be real about friendships. Why are women sometimes so difficult with each other? And I don't always say that to judge anyone, and I'm not here to judge anyone. So please, this is not about you. It's a plural thing. So when you watch the video, oh my God, is Barbie talking about me? No, I'm not talking. But if the shoe fits, wear it. I don't care. I don't say that to judge anyone. I say it because I lived it. Some friendships last forever, and some are only for the season. When you're struggling, especially as a single mom, you find your people. That village becomes other than women going through the same thing. So it's a village, pretty much. And it's real. It's survivor. It's connections. But then life changes. Kids grow, relationship comes, money changes, you're you're healed, you've grown, and sometimes distance happens. Not because one or the other, big moments happen, but because life doesn't look the same anymore. And I've noticed something about myself personally. I attach quickly. I care deeply about everybody. I really do. But then if I feel used or forgotten or like the energy isn't mutual anymore, I step back. I don't fight it. I just observe it. And I ask myself, was it real for them or was it just real for me? I don't talk bad about anybody unless they talk bad about me. And for the most part, I try to confront the person. And some people have confronted me, and I appreciate that. Because sometimes the hardest truth is not that people leave, is that they were never standing where you thought they were. I didn't grow I didn't grow up with a sister, just my mom. So sometimes I wonder, do women who grow up with a sister handle friendship differently? Or is it lifestyle the real teacher for all of us? I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. People come and go. That's just life. Friendship shifts. And maybe the real lesson is this: not everyone is meant to stay forever. And that's okay. The real question is not who left, it's what you learned while they were there. Think about that. So I've had friends, this could be wrong, but this is the way that I categorize my friends. I have friends and I could count them with one hand. Not that I haven't given the opportunity to many, but I tend to say it bluntly, and not everyone can handle that. Or they avoid me because they don't want to know the truth, or they don't ask me a question because I might give them something that either they know is true or they don't agree, and why argue? I mean, it's a lot of drama, so you just walk away. But I have 3 categories. I have friends, I have barflies, because once when you're young and you meet a lot of people at the clubs or the bars or whatever, and those are acquaintances, but I used to call them barflies. And then I have acquaintances that I know, and I have my groups of girlfriends, mostly acquaintances, and a very few that I actually call when I'm hurting. But I don't tend to do that right away. Typically, when I'm going through something, I just back the fuck up. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to deal with anybody. I have to process everything in my head before I could actually talk about it. So when you pick up the phone, you know exactly what you're feeling. And sometimes it takes days before I realize what I'm actually feeling or what just happened. And I often wonder, because I've seen some really good girlfriend relationships, and I often wonder, why don't I have that? And is this something that's just me? Or is this something that everybody has? But for me personally, I think it's because I'm too blunt. And again, sometimes nobody wants to hear the truth um, or how you feel, because your opinion it's not that important. And I tend to kinda do that, and I don't mean to do it on purpose, it just happens. I'm a very strong character, and I tell it like it is, but sometimes, you could hold back a little bit. And, yeah, for that, I am who I am. I mean, I've always often tell my husband, "You either love me or hate me, there's no in between." And I do like to be challenged, but again, nobody likes to be lecture. So, I don't know. I just feel like as we grow older, we tend to close our circle more. And it's not about missing friendships because you learn something from every friendship that you have, whether it was an acquaintance or whether it's a barfly or was it a close friend. Money tends to also play a role. I tend to be open hearted and I am really good with my friends. Or I think I am, maybe I'm not. And we just don't bother picking up the phone and saying exactly how we feel. So we just close ourselves in this cocoon. So, anyways, I just wanted to talk about it because, again, as we're getting older, we really want to have our people close to us for many reasons, not just for age-related things. Somebody you could talk about your boobs hanging or my skin hanging and all of that, and how do we deal with it, or just health-wise, you know? We tend to go now more to the doctor, and we wanna have somebody that cares for us, aside from our partners or whatever, somebody we could talk to. But I don't find it that that's always the case, and I think maybe because I was brought up with my brother, and even my little brother and I said it in one of my other episodes. I kind of left behind when I ran away from home and I left him there. And I knew he loved me and cared about me, but I left him. And I have 3 daughters and we don't always get along at the same time. It is the weirdest thing. If I'm good with one, I'm mad with the other, or I'm having issues with the other. Oh, the other one's having issues with me. I have a daughter who has an issue with me being Republican and conservative, and for me liking Trump. When she's ready, she'll come. It's the way I say it. And the other 2 were raised very differently. They were from my first batch. And if by now you know my story and you know that I wasn't the greatest mom, I really wasn't. So I don't fault them for that. But at some point, I am consistent. If you disrespect me or you come at me with the victim card, I tend to shut you down. I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me. Yes, I will allow you to say, well, mom, you weren't there. Yeah, that is true. I wasn't there. But if you're going to put me on the cross, I will get myself out of it. My husband has a really good say that says, get off the cross. Somebody else needs the lumber. And that's kind of how I feel too. There's only so much you can take, and there's only so much apologies, whether you're a friend, a child, or whatever. And again, I'm rambling now, my apologies, but I really wanted to touch on this because it could be me. Maybe it's not. But I could tell you this, I am loyal as they come. And if you ever mess with my peeps, I would take it personal, even if we're not even that close. Does that make sense? Anyways, I'm rambling now. So, anyways, in this show, we talked a little bit of the politics of racism, a little bit of friendship. I also am working on locally what happened here in our District 300 once again. Some of the kids being air tags on their backpacks. I did a little bit of deep dive last week on it, and I checked this morning to see if anything has come out of it, but nothing has, nothing definitively. But again, I'm going to keep checking until I get the whole story to come out here and say, and again, this is more locally here in Illinois, District 300, once again in the spotlight. I guess it didn't just happen with one family, but there were some air tags going around and kids were being tracked. And I wonder why. Same district who the president was very happy that Charlie Kirk died. So I went to one of those meetings and I went to protest and I was involved in that. But here's what happened in the end. They demoted her and put her somewhere in the back. And a couple months later, they gave her an award. So I want to, and again, this might not be something, those of you who hear me from other states, this might not be something you might, so I'll give you the heads up if the episode is going to be on a local thing. But I am working on all that to put it together. And I'm also working in bringing more people in my shows now that I know how to use this software as good as I do. And by the way, I use Riverside. You don't have to be a experienced podcaster, and I am not. I'm learning every single day. but this is the software that's the easiest for me to use. And it's the only one that I'm affiliated with in their rewards program. I have gotten a few emails with people that want me to collaborate. I have yet to look into that because I don't want to do or use any products that I don't personally use. And again, I don't do it for the money. I don't. This is not about money. This is just about just real talk, real things that that's going around. And again, the politics play a huge role because it's in our faces day in and day out. Every day is a news day in this country. All of a sudden, we're not talking about the Iran war. Now we're talking about the Spirit airline, which, again, the Democrats were the ones that destroyed that airline. They didn't let them do, they're merged with the other airlines. And now the same people they think they're protecting is the same people that always gets hurt with the Democratic Party. It blows my mind. The same communities, the poor people, the blacks, all that community that pays those cheap airfare, those were the ones that were stranded over the weekend. Spirit Airlines just crashed, didn't have any more money. And then they talk about the gas prices. Oh, it's because of the gas prices. Listen, the gas prices are still cheaper than any of the Biden 4 years. So again, what's it worth to you not having a nuclear weapon? I'm going to go with Pete on this one. What's it to you? What's it worth to you? I mean, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, who do you think who they're coming for? They're coming for us. They hate America. They've told you time and time again. In any case, that's it for today. Episode 10, guys. 10 episodes. I hope you enjoying them, and I hope you continue to follow me in this journey. Love you and have a great day.